really fun match where hopefully we'll get to talk lots of smack on Trojan and Stinger and make fun of all their little mistakes and stuff, but also, you know, celebrate their victories. It'll be good times, and as Trojandude would be known to say, yo, let's get going with the race.
Is that new that they've updated their privacy policy?
I think it's been doing that for the last week or so.
Wow.
All right, well, we've got our heart container to start off, and we're well on our way. We'll soon see what that uncle item is, but I don't believe I saw him walking out with a sword, so I think we're going to get one of those other items.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't.
Now we just wait for the deluge of items to begin, as Trojan taking a slight lead here, getting into the sewers. Oh, but Stinger reversing with some nice pumping.
StingerPA doing the pumping because Trojandude apparently didn't want to go fast.
Stinger, of course, being a no major glitches speedrunner of this game as well as a rando runner. Trojan being a lot newer to Link to the Past. He only learned to play rando last September. So doing really well for himself, being 4-2 in this tournament, but he wants to move on to that bracket. And Stinger opting to kill some of those darts, and Trojan doing the same, but Stinger doing it just a little bit faster, so he's got this mild amount of lead here for now.
So obviously, these two runners looking for that very crucial bomb drop. They need to get that before the back of escape to get those 3 extra chests, which can very well make the difference here.
Yeah, we'll see if they if we end up seeing some bomb trolling today. You know, I would say hopefully not, but whatever. You know, whatever happens will happen. Usually it's pretty common that if there are bombs to be had, both runners will get them, and if there are not bombs to be had, neither runner will get them, of course. But every once in a while, you see that actually only one runner gets the bomb. That's always an interesting occurrence.
And that's one of those things that can really make or break a seed really, really early, like absurdly early. It's not usually something we see so early.
That's true. And suddenly you don't. Oh, Stinger having a little bit of a flub there. Accidentally activated the Cane of Burnout twice. Now, the act of activating it does cost 1/8 of your magic bar, so that's a little bit rough. But then he gets a blue potion, so it kind of doesn't matter anymore. That'll also open up our sick kid check when they get to Kakariko, so that'll be pretty nice.
Yeah. Early bottle, very, very useful. I would have preferred an empty bottle, but I mean, that's because, again, I'm perhaps not going for our runner's best interests.
Of course, with Cane of Burnup, most runners are going to typically opt for the pot throwing strats, and so both of our runners doing that and picking up Power Glove in Zelda's cell.
Our runners are probably very happy to see that. That means that it's getting Power Glove or Hammer early is a significant indicator that we're probably not going to see an Agaseed. Specifically, Power Glove is a good indicator of that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's really awful to end up in that situation where you've got Hammer and Mirror and you just don't have that glove. You can't do any, Hammer and Moon Pearl. You can't do anything with them. And then the game's like, okay, now here's a sword and cape. Enjoy. Which really seems to be like all the V29 seeds these days.
I have lost count of the number of seeds where I've just gone like, is this oh no, it's more Aga. I didn't come for this, I didn't expect this, I'm not happy.
Stinger managing to pick up a red rupee and another small magic pot, so those are nice at least. Gets back a little bit of that magic that he erroneously spent on his Cane of Burnout earlier, but otherwise we're not seeing anything from drops, and both runners are being really comprehensive on checking those enemy kills too.
Well, the magic drop is going to mean StingerPA might be able to kill 1 or 2 extra enemies here in the dark part of Escape, which, I mean, we don't know, might make the difference.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Stinger in general, his approach to this is going to be pretty comprehensive. So there's one difference between the two runners as far as what we're going to see today, and that's just that Stinger's execution is very well practiced from a lot of experience doing no major glitches runs, whereas Trojan has not done that. He's been focused only on Randomizer since he started with it. And so what you're going to likely see is Stinger's going to try to save time across the entire run by just doing rooms a little bit faster, doing things like pumpkin, knowing better room strats. Trojan is going to just win by routing, which he's made a pretty convincing case that he can do. Look at that bomb pickup for Stinger. That is incredibly convenient.
It's also really unlikely that Trojandude misses that bomb, honestly. He has to not kill any rats all the way to the end to not hit that bomb.
Yeah, well, here it is. He does get one, but the other one doesn't die. There is no bomb. And what were we just talking about? Oh my goodness. But fortunately for him, there's nothing in there. It's going to be, one of those distractions in the back of his mind until a little bit later. Though I guess he does have the glove, so he can come back in real soon.
Yeah. But StingerPA getting out the bottle because I suspect he expected needing to use it to kill more rats.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty good use of that early on. Just say, I'll be able to fill this up later. But right now, what I really need is to get a bomb, and if there's going to be one to be had, I have this potion, might as well use it. Trojan just kind of accepted his fate and actually worked out okay. He said, I have the gloves, so it's not as bad to go back in here, so it's not that huge of a deal. It's just arrows from our tree pole here. Not the most useful thing in the world, but Trojan will pick them up just for the heck of it. Stinger will go ahead and not even bother checking what the bush crab has, and hits bombs. Oh man.
I suspect Stinger will probably check the bush crab, the second bush crab, but he needed to get a kill, and that bush crab is the easiest kill on the way to the second tree pole.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Lumberjack Ledge showing us some bombs, so at least for that reason, Aghanim is not going to be required. But we'll see what else. And there, as you mentioned, he does end up checking the second pull crab, so he'll take a few moments to collect his bombs and move on. Now they're both on the same bomb count. And in literal sync.
That 50 coins means that our runners are going to be able to pay the bottle vendor.
Yep, they'll pick up another 30 inside the Thieves Hut, so they'll get to at least 100, and they shouldn't need to buy bombs from the shop if they don't want to, as they'll be able to do all of Kakariko and still have a few left over.
That's unexpected. I sort of expected StingerPA after taking that kill to go ahead and pull that tree, but he's deciding against it.
It's interesting. I wonder if he just felt, I don't really need it. I have 6 bombs. I have 90 rupees. But if you do go to that trouble, you usually do expect to check that. We'll see if he opts to pull another tree somewhere else. There are definitely other options. But now we're going to head into Thieves' Hut. And Stinger will hopefully not drink that potion and get those bombs equipped.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he drank the potion. He probably wants a full magic refill solely to be able to kill Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, that's pretty likely as we collect our bombs, heart piece, arrow upgrade, more bombs. This is a very bomb-heavy seat already. Trojan, of course, will certainly be thinking, let me go back to the back of escape to make use of these, and a fighter shield in the back here. So nothing so far. Kak holding out on us for just a few more moments.
There's still a lot of Kak left.
Yeah, a little bit. A couple chests. Okay, a lot of chests. Many chests.
So many chests.
Containing a heart piece.
This is a very healthy early seed.
And more bombs.
Well, I mean, that's what you want to see early, right? Bombs and hearts.
Ooh. boy, okay, and a mirror and an ice rod. So the well packing some heat right here, doling out two very important items. Of course, the ice rod mean that they won't need to search the world. Eastern Palace is a red crystal, and Tower of Hera is a pendant per Stinger's map check. So those are little bits of information that we now have.
Indeed. Nothing that makes our runner's magic bar feel very happy, though. Still, all of their non-bomb weapons require magic, and as you can see, our runner's not very high on the magic count right now.
Yeah, now both of these runners did participate in the Key Sanity tournament earlier this year, which was on the open mode, which was a lot less likely to give you, a real weapon per se to start off with. So they both should be pretty experienced in Bomb Mini Moldorm Cave, but we'll see if they end up wanting to do that. And now they're just trading locations here as Trojan gets his bomb upgrade from the back of the tavern that Stinger already got while he collects a blue Rippy from the Sick Kid.
That is a good point. They do have an absurd amount of bombs for this early, considering they didn't buy any.
Yeah, throwing 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 shouldn't be too big a deal. And then they'll even have some Rippies left over as well if they need to go buy replacements, that is. This is interesting. Both of them are just blind checking the maze game. I guess because, again, they got nearly nothing in the rest of Kakariko, so.
And again, an absurd amount of bombs.
What are you gonna do with all these bombs?
I mean, blow stuff up, I guess.
I can't argue with that logic. I guess I'll just move on. Stinger saves and quits, goes back to Link's house, and he'll do South Hyrule, and Trojan will actually save and quit back to Sanctuary, so he will go get that back of escape check, and unfortunately just get a red Rippy, and I think there were like a piece of heart and something else in there.
He'll get a red rupee and probably see a bomb drop.
God, that would be something. Alright, so we got 50 rupees from inside the dam. Meanwhile, Trojan kills. I appreciate your knowledge on the prize packs, Counter. That was good. So he does get his bomb drop, opts to go ahead and leave it behind, but maybe he understands and appreciates the silliness there. Now Stinger is doing a very interesting check, and he is going directly from the dam to Agina's cave, so he's not even going to do Mini Moldorm yet. He will go there afterwards.
I do like this. Agina's cave is just one of those checks that it's very, very easy to just be on the back of your mind for like 30 minutes, maybe even an hour in if you don't check it.
Trojan, meanwhile, skipped the dam and is going directly to Mini Moldorm. So this is a really interesting combination of plays there. Oh, well, a lot of money for Stinger, but not much else. Trojan's first bomb killing the one Mini Moldorm, his second one killing 2 of them, so very nice by Trojan, and he just needs the third one to cooperate, but doesn't.
Why did you say that? Why did you go like, oh, very nice, good job, Trojan? Immediately misses 2 bombs.
It's true. I should learn my lesson about praising Trojan. But he does collect a lamp and a moon pearl and a hook shot and a bomb upgrade and a heart.
Those are not what you want to see.
Well, the moon pearl is still good. I mean, he has the glove already, so glove plus moon pearl means all you need is hammer, but then again, also all you need is either 2 swords or a cape, and you're Agabound.
Well, technically you need 2 swords, a cape, and probably flippers to be truly Agabound. Because if you're Agabound, the game needs to find a way to get you into the west part of Dark World. And the only way to do that with the setup they have without giving them hammer is with flippers.
Yeah, that's a great point. which of course could be serviced by them getting that item in pod. But meanwhile, Trojandude finds the Titan's Myth, so that is Dark World access, and StingerPA will be picking this up momentarily as long as he doesn't get bodied by a crab. And I'm just going to repeat again that Stinger's, his plan of attack for this game was to be more comprehensive and just check every location, not leave anything behind, because he believes that he has an execution advantage here. So stuff like this is going to be totally within his game plan. Just make sure that he's always going to places like Ice Rock Cave. And for Trojan, I think his normal gameplay involves doing that. So probably we'll see the two runners play pretty similarly until we get, well, to this point where we have a little more freedom in what we can do.
So StingerPA, I believe, was thinking about doing fake flippers and decided that all of Death Mountain was probably a better plan.
It's definitely not a bad plan. You've got Mitt, you've got Moonpearl, you've got Hookshot, you've got Mirror. Literally, as he said, all, not just most, all of Death Mountain is in access. Dead Rock's getting away for Trojan as he collects his arrow capacity upgrade from the uncle, and also gets bodied by a cabbage.
Goodness, these cabbages.
Oh gosh.
I wonder how much combined time NMG runners have spent cursing at cabbages. It's not a small number.
Well, I heard earlier today that the Randomizer tournament has generated more video content in terms of aggregate hours. There's flippers, by the way. More video content than the number of hours it's been since the tournament started. And I think probably the answer to your question is more hours than there have been since No Major Glitch as a category was invented.
Wow.
So Trojan getting a... Yeah, go ahead.
That was a very long pause Trojandude having on that screen.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was getting a very, very good look at the map. And here's the Dark World map as well. Turtle Rock, the number 5 crystal. Skull Woods, the green pendant. Ice Palace, the blue. So, at least for Skull Woods, they won't need the Fire Rod, but they will need it for Turtle Rock. Trojan goes ahead and opts to head up towards Hera to get his flippers, and Stinger doing the same. And I don't believe Stinger did do that map check along the way, so he'll get to that in a little bit.
He just wanted to see like a very, very long boomerang throw, I guess.
Well, just showing off why the red boomerang is the worst boomerang. Just how easy it is to mess up with it. It just goes flying off to the distance and causes a ton of lag. And alas, we're stuck in Hera because we're not.
I don't think alas is the word Stinger was thinking. I think thank goodness. Thank goodness I do not have to do this dungeon because I am just not going to worry about the basement here.
Well, he does have that lamp, but he's doubling back. Okay.
He doesn't have the hammer. He can't go that way.
Yep. No, you're correct. Good call. Yeah, no, he's this is interesting, but it makes total sense because this is a pendant dungeon. And now, actually, what Trojan told me the other night as I was talking to him to ask what his game plan here was, one thing he told me is, if I'm going into a pendant dungeon, I'm finishing. So here he is in a pendant dungeon, and he's gonna finish it. And we'll see if that pays off for him. He is rocking only 1 heart, so that's a little bit scary, but he does manage to get through and just needs to get that hook shot out for maximum safety. At least as much as there can be with minimal orbs. Oh boy.
But I don't have words. And I think Trojan might have lied.
Yeah, he changed his game plan because death will do that to you.
You can't waste another full minute, like, on something like that.
Oh, we're gonna get Paradox Cave, at least the top part of Paradox Cave from Stinger shortly. We just got the bottom, and that was nothing interesting. Here's a piece of heart. Here's 300 rupees. Another piece of heart. And a sword. And a heart container. So that's... The sword is really nice. Everything else is just generally nice. Hearts are good.
Hearts are great. Love hearts.
Bet you Trojan would have liked some of those in that Hera basement.
Yeah, perhaps.
That, the green mail and 5 hearts, not a fun situation to be in when you have to do that particular room. Alright, we're getting some Super Bunny Cave from Stinger, but he's not actually a bunny because he's got that Moon Pearl. So we'll see what is in these 2 chests, and Stinger will probably pick up a magic refill as well. It's a piece of heart and more bombs. Wow, so many junk items so far. We do have both of our runners following this, pretty much this exact same route here. We find out that Turtle Rock is Bombos.
That's the medallion I like to see, personally.
The non-vanilla one.
Well, specifically Bombos, because that means that 2 dungeons could be opened by it. What with Ice Palace being openable by Bombos.
Yep, that's a good point. We do have access otherwise to Ice Palace once we get either that Fire Rod or that Bomb Burst. We'll see. A lot of different dungeons actually are accessible for both runners, so it'll be interesting to see how they choose which ones to do first. But here in Hookshot Cave, there was a blue mail, there was a heart container, there was a piece of heart.
Okay, very healthy, if unuseful, Death Mountain, except for that sword. Where is StingerPA going back to do, oh, he has a sword now! He can actually do it!
Oh yeah, that's important. You need one of those. No? Spiral Cave instead? Is he just trying to mess with us?
Hey, mess with us or just waste 30 seconds. I mean, your choice. Probably closer to 15 seconds. I was way overestimating that.
Yeah, certainly not a huge deal or anything. Definitely not as bad as dying in the Hera basement. But we'll see whether Trojan decides to to go back and say, no, I will definitely do that. Right now, he is getting out his mirror, but it is to mirror to Spiral Cave, which contains the mushrooms. So now we can go on a little bit of a fetch quest.
What even is open now? Oh, right. All of Dark World. Never mind.
What
am I
I was
thinking?
thinking too.
So much. All of the everything is open right now.
Well, it's tough because, in a situation like this, you do have so much access, but it's all from that one spot in the Village of Outcasts. Like, that's all you have access to, so you kind of don't want to do it. And so Stinger's, for now, he's saying, I'm just not going to do the Dark World yet. I'm going to start with Sahasala. No one's done that yet. Trojan's having the same problem. He's like, where do I go? So he is going to save and quit a second time. Okay, I think he might...
Yeah, I thought Stinger might be going to the Witch's Hut, but he's probably going to grab Witch's Hut on his way to Catfish, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense since he's got that mirror. Mirrors, again, it's the god routing tool for, the Dark World, Light World stuff, just to be able to transition back and forth as they're going to get all those things more efficiently instead of having to do one-off trips in each world.
I would guess he's... This is interesting. So he has the mirror, he has the flippers. it's actually faster to route in Hobo when you go and do Catfish, because it's like right there on the way up there. So this makes me think maybe StingerPA is not interested in actually going to do Catfish.
That wouldn't surprise me. Of course, Catfish never a favorite of most runners, but also just in general, he has access to so many things. You gotta feel like you wouldn't want to specifically choose Catfish at the moment. But it's a great point about Hobo, though. Coming to Hobo from mirroring from the Dark World right next to him is a really great routing choice that you don't get to take that much advantage of most of the time. Meanwhile, Trojan is repeating this play that Stinger did earlier of going to the dam and then heading over to Agina. And he also checks the desert ledge, but it was not anything to write home about. I've already forgotten what it was, but it wasn't.
I think it was a heart piece. Whatever it was, as you said, it's not worth picking up.
The Trojandude gonna get his 300 rupees. So Stinger actually is choosing this is his time to go visit Zora, which makes sense. He's got plenty of rupees. Trojan might do the same since, of course, he's got the flippers as well. This does, of course, prevent them from doing that combination of, that Catfish with Zora play, which is a really nice kind of combo route to be able to do to lessen the sting of Catfish. But, says Stinger.
Yeah, Stinger's all about that sting. He named it. That's what his name's about.
I think it actually is. Okay, it might not be specifically that one.
No, I remember. He specifically said, "Oh, I named myself StingerPA because I hate going to Catfish in Link to the Past Randomizer, and I knew that in the future there would be something called that."
I buy it. Unfortunately, Zora also made a little bit of a purchase from Link, spending 20 rupees to get Link's 500. So not exactly a great deal for Link, but I guess he'll live as Stinger heads out. The ledge just contained 20 rupees as well, so that entire trip pretty much being useless, except that Stinger got a blue bottle, which, I mean, will be nice later, but isn't progression, unfortunately.
And it looks like both of our runners chose to do Hobo in the light world. Which, I mean, as you said before, very interesting choice.
Yeah, it might have been motivated by, like, we want to get to these checks as quickly as possible, and going to Village of Outcasts and taking that portal, or I should say Kakariko and taking that portal, and then walking all the way around to the north just felt too slow to get those items. But I don't know, it is curious. It also could have just been like, oh right, we have a mirror, we could have done all this for the Dark World. Oops. I mean, that also happened.
Part of it might be the fact that they probably really don't want to have to dip into Thieves Town without the hammer, because as bad of a check as Catfish is, having to re-dip into Turtle Rock for that one chest is not Turtle Rock, Thieves Town is much worse.
I was gonna let the Freudian slip pass because we also don't like doing that for Turtle Rock, but that's usually a key sanity. But Stinger is heading into Thieves Town. It is a crystal. He's gonna clear this dungeon. He's got what he needs, which is a sword. He also has a bloomerang now. Everyone wants one of those, right?
I mean, you generally want to get that before you get the red meringue, just so you don't have to switch in the menu to your bloomerang.
Someday on April Fools, VTorp and the Randomizer devs are going to make a change where just for that day, all boomerangs are red boomerangs.
All seeds require boomerang to kill Armos.
Oh god.
That's not possible.
No. But
it'd be funny though.
Awful.
Oh no, it is possible. Ice Armos could have a bow behind it.
Oh my god, please. Why do we bring you along here?
I think exactly the reason that you're thinking I shouldn't be here right now is the reason I'm here.
Oh man. Well, we're advancing through Thieves Town, but finding nothing so far. Trojan's basically covering a little of the ground Stinger just did, catching up right now, but also is going to stop by the brewery and the C-shaped house to pick those things up. So we'll get that knowledge, which Stinger didn't bother checking before going to Thieves Town. And paying off in case of the brewery, it's just a red rupee. Get the attic check in just a moment and the sea house.
Well, that menu got kind of away from Stinger for a moment there.
Yeah, a little bit of I'm not exactly sure where his cursor was trying to get to. He did eventually reach bombs, bomb to the floor there, and unfortunately the chest just continued blue rupee. So tons and tons of money chests so far for our two runners, but almost nothing they actually want. With that blue mail on, Stinger's just happily damage boosting straight on through those bubbles, just saying like, it's fine.
And I know I mentioned the double dip into Turtle Rock being, not Turtle Rock, Thieves Town. Jesus Christ. Being annoying, but it's only annoying if your opponent doesn't do it. So the fact that both of our runners are going to be forced to double dip if there's anything in here, not super big deal as of right now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty valid for both of them that this is a logical play. Even though you don't have the hammer right now, it just seems like the seed really wants you to go to what's available because it's not giving you many things. Stinger just did a brief check of his inventory there, but I missed whether or not he had all the dungeon items yet. Alright, we do get an update from our tracker that it is 50-50 on blind heavy on this item. So Stinger is following the script that you would in the No Major Glitches runs. He's very experienced in that and manages to pull off a very clean blind fight and collects a map. So there is one remaining dungeon item, and it is in the big chest. Sorry, non-dungeon item.
Yeah. One remaining item that our runners did not want to know that it was there. They wanted it to be on blind.
Well, Stinger's going to check a couple chests that Trojan just did a moment ago, but, you know, right now they're pretty much, since they're having to follow basically the same path, they're pretty much neck and neck. Obviously, of course, Trojandude is still wrapping up Thieves Town. However, he did have that stop into Hera, which Stinger just did not even bother doing. And there's certainly a chance that Stinger may end up there again. But for the moment, Stinger is a bit in the lead, and, you know, we're going to be waiting basically for the seed to actually diverge a bit before we can really see anything serious happen.
The seat is wide open. It's just that our runners are deciding to go exactly the same places. I will remind you that Trojandude actually didn't get anything from that dip into Hera. He didn't actually finish the basement. He just sort of wasted time.
Yeah, you're correct. He took the death down there. He did, of course, got the small key from the basement cage, and then the map chest had, I believe it was 5 rupees. So, yeah, he got one of the 2 non-dungeon items, but unfortunately he didn't get anything important out of there. And that's not like a slow check for Stinger to do later, other than having to travel to Hera.
StingerPA having trouble trying to redig the same hole over and over again in the digging game, but it's fine.
Eventually he collects 50 entire rupees. So that's a total of, they've collected like, I don't even know, like over 1,000 rupees in this seed so far. And it's like, game, we get it. We don't need this crap. Please stop. But he's going to be doing the South Dark World circuit most likely. He'll mirror back with the blacksmith, turn that in. He does not have either the powder or the cane of Samaria to perform the fake powder glitch with the mushroom that's in his possession. And actually, now that I think about it, they may have intentionally skipped the mushroom in order to keep fake powder available as an option.
That's certainly possible, but we don't know where that cane is.
And speaking of that cane, Trojan busting out the other cane that he already acquired to finish off blind here, just to be 100% safe. He will collect his map.
I will remind people that you do not need the hammer to get to Batman. You just need mirror and dark world access, or the hammer.
Yeah, of course, if you do it with the mirror access, then you do have to re-travel back to the dark world, so it's a little bit inconvenient to loop in with things, but otherwise not too crazy. But now Stinger's going to take a walk with the chest. This is actually an ideal situation for it, since he has all these South Dark World checks to do and does not have boots, so the chest doesn't really slow him down that much. I mean, Kemps, either you're getting your wish here, or both of our runners are just, like, completely blind to some, like, key obvious thing that is going on in this seed, because...
Oh, it is impossible at this point for me to get my full wish. Bow and a hookshot cannot be in Ganon's tower.
Alas.
But the seed is I'm getting my I wish this seed is trolley wish, which is nice.
Yeah, some of your evil taint is apparent here. Stinger actually not getting the bomb on the ground there before it blew up, so had to throw another one, but now we've got some Hype Cave. Get Hype for Hype Cave, which has a heart container, yeah! And it also has Big 20 and powder, actually, that's pretty good, and a heart piece, and 50 rupees. I'm so excited, I can't even properly name items, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can feel the excitement in your voice. I hope you can feel the excitement in my voice right now. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I feel it deep inside me. But yeah, that was a pretty boring Hype Cave, much like every other location they've checked in this entire seed. The only like location with multiple chests that actually was interesting was the well, which had Ice Rod and Mirror, and that's about it.
I guess you swim to Catfish now? Maybe? Or you could go all the way back to Village of Outcasts, turn in Batman, and then do the North Dark World route.
Yeah, that's a possibility. It does look like Stinger's heading back in that direction, so that seems likely to be what he's doing. There's also, if you really hated yourself, you could go into Swamp with a grand total of 1 chest to check that could possibly have anything and hope that it's Hammer. But that doesn't seem like a super great play.
It doesn't seem like a super great play, but it is the kind of play that would win you the seed.
So I have a term for that, Kemps. It's called aspirational routing. That's when you're, you're like, hey, I have this great routing idea, and if it worked, I would be set. So I'm gonna do it. It's like, well, there's kind of problems with that line of thinking. Stinger having a little bit of trouble swapping to that powder, but he does manage to get it out.
Oh, that's 100% what they wanted. Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly. Oh my gosh. Well,
you need that net to kill Aga, right?
Definitely not.
You don't need that net to kill Aga. You need that net for literally nothing.
Oh gosh, and they're getting like they have blue mail and they've gotten a bunch of hearts, so like I don't even think that either of them is gonna feel like they really need the safety of the net either. But Stinger is going back to this portal, so I bet this is North Dark World check. We'll probably start with Skull, check out a bunch of stuff there, since as Stinger's been known to say, these are basically like overworld chests, and then he will also head to the east and check out the various other locations that are available.
That is a good thing to note. Finding the powder makes this North Dark World chest slightly better because they're not giving up fake powder to go and to the witch's hut on the way.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this excellent execution in the mummy room here for Stinger. Again, something that he will have practiced via No Major Glitches speedruns, and now here's some divergence. Trojandude is... What is he actually doing? What is he thinking of?
He's swimming to catfish. Oh no, he's swimming to Dark Palace.
Oh yeah, you can access it from here, can't you? I always forget about this one. Alright. Yep, he's heading to Pod.
Pod, one of those dungeons you really don't want to dip into. And just a lot of the time you need to. It is a little better than it used to be, now that you can do the potion trick to get the side of Pod that requires bow without bow.
Oh, wow. But he isn't going to get bow here, at least we know, because Stinger just got the bow in Skull Woods. So that's been available for quite a while now. But that is going to be a great find for Stinger. It is going to allow him to finish up Eastern if he so chooses, and he will be able to access the entirety of Pod.
Oh my god. Okay, so for those playing the home game, we have a required item, specifically the most required item I can think of, being the hammer on the bumper ledge.
Which requires another item, and that item is Cape. So both of our runners, of course, Trojan will find out in a little bit when he heads over in that direction, but both of our runners will need that Cape. And actually, you know, one of those things you might be thinking about is, maybe, if I'm lucky, Cape will be the go mode item, so that I don't, because Hammer limits you so much if you don't have it, as far as what you can even check. In before he gets Cape from Mushroom.
That would require them to find Kane and Bombos and the Mire item and Fire Rod before finding Hammer. Before finding Cape.
Stranger things have happened.
Well, yeah. I'm just, I'm not convinced it's going to happen here.
I will be interested to find out what's on that Mire medallion thing. Plaque in the ground. But that won't be for a while, as unfortunately we still don't have the flute. Trojan's making his headway into Eastern Palace, but unfortunately without that bow, he will not be finishing this dungeon. And the mushroom turns into a big 20 yet again.
I do wonder if we're going to see the bottle trick from Trojandude, because he's certainly not going to be able to get over there with the bow anytime soon.
I would be slightly surprised to see that. I don't believe that he knows how to do it, but that said, it's not a hard trick by any stretch. It's just more that to go out of your way to do it in a race, you know, that is for your bracket life, where you might not even know how to do it, as just be like, let me just try this. This is the first time I've ever tried it. Not necessarily the sort of thing that I would expect Trojandude to do. He's usually a pretty conservative player. He just plays his game as he's comfortable playing it. And that's why, for example, in this match, you know, as you've been watching, Stinger's execution is better, and has been better than Trojan's during this race. However, you know, Trojan isn't concerned about that. He's concerned about his own gameplay and just playing as well as he can with his game, the way that he plays it. And if he, you know, does well, I mean, I've seen in other tournaments that Trojan's gotten really far, beating and outlasting players that were better than him. Because of that mindset. So, you know, we'll see how that works for him over the course of this race. There's still a lot of race to go. The bow is not going to be the deciding factor necessarily.
I do think it's a very interesting choice to go this direction without knowing the bottle trick, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. He may just be like, he may totally know and he's about to pull it out. And I'm just talking out of my, you know, my hindquarters, but we'll see momentarily, I guess.
Indeed.
Well, it's a key, so he's bailed out here. Trojan will be continuing in the pod. As Stinger heads in this direction, he'll almost certainly start with Eastern as well and just finish that up. The bridge chest yielding a map, so there's only one more opportunity for Trojan to get a key here, and that's from this drop-down chest. If he does get one, he will be able to proceed into the back of the dungeon. If he does not, he does, so he's good.
Yep. Back of the dungeon having 3 chests to the big key location's only 1. 3 extra if he knows the bomb jump.
That's actually a very good question. I'm not sure that he does. I am 100% sure that Stinger does, as of course, Stinger being a no major glitches runner, and also, you know, he has like a 135 in that category, so he is very well experienced in his hammer jump. Trojan looked like he was trying to just throw a bomb across to open the way there, and he should get either 1 or 2 keys in these remaining chests here. Oh, Trojan. Oh, okay. Wow.
That's going to send him to Skull Woods, which is going to make him not happy, I think, seeing that that bow available from so early on.
Yeah, very likely. He does pick up 2 keys here, so that means there's 4 small keys in the front, and it also means that the Harmless Hellway will have an item, which is a fact that he will be aware of, so he's going to check it out. And it's big keys, so that's a pretty important one. And now he does have the option to go on over to the Dark Maze and just open the door. He doesn't need to know the hammer jump or not, so he'll just go ahead in. First chest. Just a compass. And just 10 arrows.
I think
One more
that's
chest.
2 of our dungeon items StingerPA having found.
Oh, wow. That's a nice pickup for Trojan in that big chest. It is a Master Sword. I actually missed what the first chest was for Stinger. I want to say it's either 2 or 3. I know that the big key chest did have a non-dungeon item in it. Unfortunately, it was not useful. But now Trojan's going to take a long walk. We'll see where he ends up going.
I'm pretty sure the compass chest had a dungeon item in it, so... No, not compass chest. That's completely wrong. The
thing.
I think it's the map chest. But yeah. That's, I believe, their 3rd item in here. So StingerPA is going to be finishing this out solely to get the crystal.
Yeah, actually, while we were talking, Stinger busted out a quick menu check, and he did have all 3 dungeon items already. So he will find another item on the Armos Knights. And Trojan is, looks like he's going to go for the comprehensive overworld checks. He's going to be basically tracing those steps that Stinger just hit. But I would not be surprised to see Skull coming up in his very near future, probably after he hits Catfish.
Trojan using the fact that A, he knows for a fact that the stun prize is a heart, and B, the fact that one more heart gives him an extra hit on these Dark World enemies.
Yeah, good play. He knows, you know, he knows what his limits are and what his likelihood of taking damage is, so he, you know, takes the steps to make sure that he's not going to die, because that's the most important thing. Unfortunately, he didn't have that luxury earlier, but so far he's doing a good job here. Meanwhile, Stinger, Stinger beautifully executing the No Magic Glitches Armos Knight fight and collecting silver arrows as his reward. So he will get progression in pod, but unfortunately Eastern not having any.
It had silver arrows. I mean, that's nice. Mire is required, and Vitruvius goes from the hardest boss in the game to the easiest one if you have silver arrows.
Yep, very good point. Trojan's also not going to be bashful about collecting the heart piece from the Catfish. He says, hey, if they're going to give me health, I'm going to take it. As much as I can get. And he is now up to 12 hearts. With Blue Mail, that's a really, really nice amount of health to already have. But I'm certain he won't balk at having more. Any amount of health is pretty nice. I just realized what a useless, like, John Maddenism I just said there. Any amount of health is nice. Trojan noping directly out of the 20 rupees from the mushroom. Says, it's not doing it for me. But he will continue his lengthy North Dark World trip. This makes pretty good sense for him. He's going to get to Skullwoods eventually, and along the way he checks that bumper cave, and he will find out that the hammer is there.
You know, if the speed doesn't kill him. Anyway, StingerPA getting the upside of having 2 keys before going this direction means he's going to be able to do a slightly faster clear.
Did we see whether or not there was a non-dungeon item in the bow side?
No, it was 2 small keys on the bow side.
Okay, got it. So yeah, there is actually an item in the vanilla Big Heel location, and Trojan was not able to check this, and it is half magic. There is almost no way that Trojan comes back to get this when he comes to finish the dungeon, because it's never going to block him, which means by the time he gets back there, he will be able to just finish the dungeon. So that is very interesting. Not necessarily going to be a game-deciding factor in any particular way, but...
Since we know for a fact that they're going to have Cape, it does mean that this is... I don't know why Stinger's going this direction. But anyway...
Bomb jump? Oh my god, he is! I've never seen this in a race. I'm so happy about this. Oh, it didn't work.
I mean, he might do this bomb jump. He's going to... yeah, I've never seen this bomb jump in a race either.
It's such an uncommon bomb jump. I don't know that anyone's ever seen this that's even watching, but it's actually really straightforward to do. You just need to be pretty close to the edge in a particular position, and then you just throw... actually, you don't even need to throw a bomb. You can place it on the ground. But Stinger says, okay, I've tried enough. It's not working out. I'm just going to go the other way. Oh. I think he might be doing this because he's not sure he can hit the switch from this side. No, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why he was trying to do that.
I mean, he was trying for swag, and I mean, always try for swag, I guess.
I'm sure there's some reason. Trojan's actually going directly to the back of Skull to finish the dungeon before he checks those chests, which is fine. Fortunately, the bow has really no impact on how quick or difficult Mothula ends up being, since it is just not vulnerable to it. And he does have plenty of magic left over, so he'll be able to get there safely.
Mothula with, no, never mind. This isn't Fighter Sword. He has a good sword. Everything's fine.
Yeah, the pod, big chest helping him out big time here, so this will certainly be playing into his hands as far as his gameplay is concerned. Trojan will certainly feel a lot happier with the Master Sword on this fight. It's going okay so far, but Mothula just kind of being a little bit of an idiot, hugging that top wall.
Not Mothula being Mothula, and every time I've ever faced him.
Some very, very good dodges by Trojan. He's down to 2 health, but he gets the kill on Mothula, so we'll see how this goes. Stinger opting to do the hammer jump. Got some good lineup and falls off. Wow. It's actually unusual. It looked like a good lineup, so I'm slightly surprised there, but he's going to go for it again. Again, this is a trick he is very familiar with, so he knows how to set it up. There it is. Unfortunately, Trojan checking this dungeon in the opposite of the optimal order, as he's just going to find nothing back here, because the bow is all the way in the front half. StingerPA heading back to Village of Outcasts. I guess we're gonna see. I guess it has to be Skull because they're still lacking the hammer, so I'm sure that's where he's gonna be. Headed. Hera is still looming there. I mean, they have both light sources now.
Yeah, in case people are wondering, the reason StingerPA left pod is because he can't finish pod. There's no way to get to Helmasaur without the hammer.
Yeah, the bow typically blocks you at the very beginning of pod, but the hammer blocks you at the very end. So now we're going to trade places. Stinger is going to head to the back of Skull. Trojan is going to collect his bow. So the progression is somewhat even. I'm sure Stinger will be finishing off the... Well, of course he is.
Well, the big thing is Stinger doesn't have to check the that extra chest in the back of this dungeon.
Yeah, that's a great point. So you already will know where the items are/were. But Trojan momentarily, he's going to have to get through this idiot mummy in the way, but he will pick up his bow. And we'll see where he goes. The worst case for him is that he goes directly back to Eastern, because that will just be a big waste of time, because it has the silvers, but it doesn't have progression. As for Stinger, I think Hera's the play.
Hera, yeah, Hera or the first chest in Swamp Palace.
Gosh, dude, that's I don't even want to think about that. That's so bad.
They can also get, I think, 3 chests in Ice Palace.
Oh boy.
Assuming really good key luck.
How many are accessible? The Pengator chest is accessible. Oh god, this hurts to think about, dude. The freezer chest, the iced tea chest, and the big chest are all accessible.
If you get the big
without
key,
hammer.
you get the big key chests.
Correct.
So there's 3 they're guaranteed, and there's 2 more if they get key luck.
Right, that you can get to, possibly, but then not necessarily open. Well, Trojan collecting his bug net right now. Save and quit for him, so he's not going to do something like continue to swamp. He knows where the hammer is now. Stinger does too. The only difference between the 2 runners is that Stinger has collected the crystal and the silver arrows off Eastern Palace. Trojan saving quitting to Link's house. Oh boy. I think we're gonna get an answer to our question, Kemps. No, I'm just kidding. He's finishing Eastern.
He's checking Aga and finishing not Aga, Sahasrara, and finishing Eastern. Because they got that green pendant and swamp. That's Swamp Skullwoods.
You kind of want to see Trojan not finish Eastern right now, because he was able to do the vast majority of pod anyway. So you'd want to see him be able to route so that he... Oh my god. Well, now, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so Trojan processed exactly the same thing that I was about to say, which is that I have the cape, I can get the hammer, I can finish pod. Go do that first. And now, oh god, what a horrendous sequence, Kemps. Why?
They
Why
both
did you
got
do
it. They
this?
got it at the same time. It's not a big deal. But it's still horrendous.
Oh my gosh. There's still
What does this open up? This opens up Ice Palace, it opens up Swamp Palace, it opens up the end of Pod.
Yeah, Swamp and Ice being the 2 big ones, but also you can access the Turtle Rock portal, but of course we don't have Bombos yet, so that doesn't really matter. And you can finish Pod. Other than that, we're still waiting on either Flute or Book to get into Desert, and of course Flute to get to Mire. The other thing, of course, is Swamp being a crystal and Ice being a pendant. I have a feeling both runners are going to be aligned to Swamp, but we'll see.
I would guess... No, that's not the case. The question is when our runner is going to go ahead and finish Pod. Do you do Swamp Burst? I think you do. I think that makes a lot of sense.
So I personally would, because that's gonna be my read on where the seed is telling me to go. I am 100% confident Trojan will. Trojan really loves Swamp Palace. He figures that it's a key dungeon a very significant amount of the time, and he really likes doing it, and so on and so forth. Stinger actually will be a little more reticent, but I still feel like, given the circumstances of this seed, Swamp is the place you go, and he'll feel the same way.
Yeah.
Now watch one of them prove me wrong. Oh my god.
Trojandude heard you. He heard you. Well, he didn't hear you. He psychically heard you and went, I hear that Villaging wants me to do something. I'm going to do exactly the opposite.
He's trying to... This is actually funny. He didn't quite remember the actual direction to go to get to the 5 portal, which is really understandable because 99% of seeds, you're going to have the flute and just flute to this dang place. Not even 99, but you know what I mean. A lot of the time. But yeah, so Trojan abandoning his typical Swamp Palace play that he would almost always want to do, and he's going to say, I'm going to finish Pod and Eastern first. It's not a bad play at all, just I'm surprised.
Well, there is a difference. Trojandude has more items in Pod than Stinger does, so it was less of a choice. It was more of a choice for him than it was for Stinger. Stinger has only one item left in Pod, whereas Trojan has both all of Pod and all of Eastern Palace that's available to him now, and that he can get all at once.
Right, well, he did, of course, have his initial trip to Pod, which covered everything but the bow side, but as you do correctly mention, he's got that half magic pickup still waiting for him in the big key chest, and then there's another item waiting for him on Helmasaur, and then, of course, he will be able to defeat the Armor's Knights. But here we go with Stinger, who is making the inroads into Swamp, and he collects a map from the first chest, so we're gonna have to wait another, like, minute and a half or whatever for him to do all this crap at the front and get the next chest. It's not actually a minute and a half, I'm just leaving.
We will probably see both of our runners go ahead and full clear Swamp their first way through. I think the only way that doesn't happen is if there's some serious progression specifically on Helmasaur.
I mean, I think that's what Trojan's got to hope for right now is, you know, he needs a little bit of a leg up right now because Stinger has had the advantage of being able to clear Eastern on his first visit, and all he has left in Pod is the boss. He's got the key to go directly to do it, whereas Trojan is still finishing this stuff up while Stinger's already doing Swamp. So Stinger's been able to set up a pretty good lead for himself, and Trojan needs something to, you know, kind of set him back here. Set him back into it here, that is. I do note that Trojan did not go to that big key chest location. I'm not sure whether he is fully counting or not. I feel like he probably is counting. But I'm not sure if he's going to know that that's an item, or if he might even risk not getting it. Trojan having a moment there with that menu, but he manages to arrive at a combination of things that he wanted to actually do.
Stinger didn't flood the key. I'm so proud.
I don't know what exactly he did do. That was a pretty weird set of things that he did as well, but he managed to make it through. So we'll be heading to the left side. We'll see what's there eventually.
Yeah, another 30 seconds. But we have an actual boss fight. Trojandude hoping against hope that this boss has something.
And of course, Helmasaur being a good pal by shooting out fireballs immediately. What a nice guy. Trojan using the Sword Tink strats to get the easier hammer hits on the mask. Just going to be patient and get in there, break the mask, and now we'll see some Master Sword swings to finish him off.
And I wasn't even paying attention to the left side of Swamp. Was there? Did you see anything there? And that is Kane!
Oh, wow! Okay, Trojan picking up the real value as Stinger gets the big key and a piece of heart. Trojan acquires the Cane of Samaria off of King Helmasaur. Now that's not going to, like, you know, be a winning item for him right here, because Stinger's going to get there before too long.
And they don't have any medallion. They have no way of opening either of the medallion dungeons, which is the reason that Kane is useful.
Exactly. So unless Stinger manages to find something in Swamp that leads him off the path, like, for example, Flute, because he's not super gonna want to go back to Pod for just that one item until it's really time to do so. So we'll see what's in the back of Skull here. He checked everything else. Trojan did go back in for the big chest, gets his half magic. That'll be very nice for him. And now he's going to finish up Eastern while Stinger wraps up Skull Swamp. Skull Swamp. Oh my god.
So all this opens up is Desert Palace, and that's 2 items versus the 1 in pod. Both of them have a crystal. And going to Desert Palace now, never mind.
Well, we know where where Trojan really needs to go next. And wow. Bombos and Flute both sitting in here.
So if Stinger goes to pod, that's going to open up Turtle Rock. Whereas going to Mire area gives them the possibility of being able to dip into Mire and finish Desert Palace.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll see him go to Mire first, since everyone will always want to be able to do Turtle Rock last. Now the real question is going to be what that Mire medallion is, because we may already be in no mode. And Stinger in effective go mode based on, he's probably going to go to pod and get that cane. Oh wow, Trojan getting some of the worst cannonball patterns I've ever seen in that stupid room. He manages to get by. Stinger landing a silver arrow into the body of Argus, collecting his compass. He has full cleared the dungeon, and now the world is his oyster, as he has many options available to him. And I expect the first one he'll take advantage of is activating that flute.
Well, yeah. Activating the flute does make a lot of sense. Trojandude not doing the NMG strats, but still finishing Armos pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, now you have established here kind of what the difference is right now. Stinger hasn't finished pod, but he has finished everything else there. So the difference is the entirety of Swamp, basically, because Trojan will need to full clear that dungeon.
We have not seen whether boots are required yet. And even if the torch on Desert isn't a required item, we might require boots for Ganon's Tower, as always.
These are good points. We have all the other items that unlock various parts of Ganon's Tower, but those boots are always a question. A 1 in 22 chance for great sadness for a runner that doesn't have them. Another little thing, no major glitches thing that Stinger knows about is that you activate the flute from the leftmost side of that little space, because the cutscene ends and you gain back control as soon as the duck flies off the right side of the screen. And Stinger beelines directly to Misery Mire, and we're going to see what that medallion is. It is Quake.
And that is good news for Stinger, because that means he's probably not going to be dipping into Mire early without the cane.
And he collects 10 arrows and a heart container from the Mire shed. Will almost definitely go ahead and do Desert Palace, and he will also check out Checkerboard Cave, but yeah, there's no chance of him entering Misery Mire right now unless that Quake medallion shows up in Desert.
Yeah, but there's 3 chances for a Quake medallion here in Checkerboard Cave, and those 2 items in Desert.
That's a bomb upgrade right there, so that's not doing it for anybody, but we got 2 locations in Desert that may have something, and we got the chance that Desert is boots locked, so we'll see. But Stinger's ahead in progression, and Trojan's progression is blocked by everything that's in Swamp, so he's just strictly behind, and what he really needs Trojandude in order to catch up to Stinger here is they need Stinger to kind of go on a wild goose chase. But the options are really running low here, as we don't have really a whole lot of items. Left to go, that is. It is not boots locked. Desert will be clearable by Stinger right now. So the question came from chat as to whether the logic requires the compass and the map to be able to beat the boss. And no, but sort of. It's a little bit complicated. Stinger collects an item from Desert Palace, but it's a 300 rupee pickup. The way it works is that in order to pick up the crystal or pendant from a given dungeon, you are required to have that compass or map. Or both, I should say, which is kind of an interesting thing. So you're not expected to be able to pick up the crystal here from Desert, but that actually doesn't matter because it isn't blocking anything except Ganon's Tower. So all that means is boots will be available somewhere, but you might not want to go out of your way to get them.
It also means that if our runners are savvy, they can, and Big Key is on the big chest, they can know for a fact that it's not inside, the boots are not inside GT, so they can immediately leave and check other locations.
Alright, well, Trojan's wrapping up the left side of Swamp, heading back to the middle where he'll check his big chest, and then he'll finish up the back and collect his actual value. And Stinger coming in for Land Molas. This will be a pretty straightforward fight. He's going to deploy the Fire Rod and just incinerate them. 2 shots apiece is plenty. Same thing applies with the Ice Rod, actually, but Fire Rod makes it a little easier. There's no progression in Desert either, just a big 20. Alright, Stinger's heading directly back to pod, and this is... So, earlier I said that Stinger was still in the lead, and he didn't have Kane, so it's like, well, what do you mean by that? And what I mean is this. There really wasn't a lot for him to do other than just go directly back to pod and finish it. So he is going to do that while Stinger finishes up Swamp, and at that point, he'll be just slightly ahead of Trojan in that progression. Trojan will have to go activate that flute, get that knowledge about Meyer, but then... You know, there's still options at that point.
Yeah, this pod play is going to lead him directly to Turtle Rock, which is going to... That's 5 items, if I recall correctly. Any of which can be that Quake that they're looking for.
Hey, you know all that stuff I said about the compasses and maps? I forgot that that's specific to Key Sanity and not at all relevant to Standard, so disregard that. A little bit too much Key Sanity in my life earlier this year, so...
I don't know what you mean. There's no such thing as too much Key Sanity.
Well, you're not wrong. Alright, well, Trojan's got his bombers, he's got his flute, he is into the Argus fight. Unfortunately, this fight sucks quite a lot with only the Master Sword, but He'll do his best to make it as quick as possible. There are other options. You can menu back to hammer. You can do some other things, but by and large, actually,
trying to do hammer strats.
Yeah, it's actually just faster to do this anyway. Usually. Alright, phase 1 down, and phase 2, just take 4 spins of the Master Sword, he'll get it done real quick. He'll pick up his crystal, and I believe Argus had some garbage, I don't know. Stinger was going for the no match glitches version of that turtle room strat. Didn't quite pull it off, but he was still able to get through them pretty quickly, so it wasn't a huge time loss. And again, overall, you know, his execution's been pretty on point in this race. And as kind of both runners expected, it has been slightly better than Trojan's, but Trojan's been able to keep up just by good routing decisions. His Dark World route worked out really well, cutting around the entire world in just one path. He did unfortunately have to do that repeat trip to Eastern Palace and Pod, but all in all, that worked out pretty well for him, and he's still in a competitive position here, even though he is behind by a little bit. He's also playing some music for us. All right. Well, Stinger with this flute in hand will have a quicker trip out of Pod, and now again, they are actually back to even in terms of item progression, and Stinger is ahead by the 1 dungeon clear of Desert Palace. He is heading up to Death Mountain, as Trojan is going to find out what that Mire Medallion is, and then probably clear his desert, and then we'll see what the play is.
Turtle Rock is the only play. Like, it's a crystal dungeon with more items than Ice Palace. I can't imagine doing Ice Palace instead of Turtle Rock here.
You know, this is a really fascinating race for me to watch, Kemps, because in one of these occasions where, like, one racer knows that the other racer is going to have an execution advantage on them, you might expect them to try to take some kind of risky routing decisions. I don't know, go into Ice Palace now, see if Quake is there, because then you're in go mode suddenly. But Trojan's just not going to do that. He is going to make the decisions that he believes are correct. He's not going to try to metagame it. That's not really his style.
The other big thing is you have to do Turtle Rock anyway, and go mode Turtle Rock is actually not that much faster than not go mode.
It's a good point, dude. It's slow either way. It's a long dungeon.
I think the best you can hope for is skipping Laser Bridge, and you're not even guaranteed that.
If you get the God Turtle Rock, you can skip even going to the left to get the Pokey Key, but that is so uncommon. You can't bank on it. You have to get 3 small keys and a big key in the first 4 chests of the dungeon, and it just does not happen very often. Stinger's best hope right now is that the Seed just gives him Quake as a matter of course, but since he is in the commanding position here, he can also just hope, you know what, after I finish Turtle Rock, I'm just going to go into Ice, and I hope it has the thing, or something like that. Actually, he'll probably do Hera first, but...
Yeah, Hera's right here.
Yeah, but either way, like, he can just hope, I'm just going to do all the obvious plays as far as whatever's remaining to check, and eventually I'll find it, and I'm just going to keep playing optimally and executing properly, and Trojan just won't be able to keep up. From Trojan's perspective, I don't know, he has to hope for something a little bit more sketchy to happen.
Yeah, probably after this, he'll go Hera into Spike Cave, save and quit, and then go to Ice, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. They don't have Book yet, so he wouldn't be able to check the Ether Tablet anyway. Although, of course, if he does get it here, you can rope that in right after Tower of Hera, or right before. Certainly right before. So that would be pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the routing is really going to just totally work out because they've already cleared like the entirety of the overworld. There's nothing left to do anywhere. And all the dungeons that are left are just Hera and Ice Palace. So really, there's not many ways that Stinger could end up in a losing position here. One of them would be to take a whole bunch of deaths, but even this chain chomp death is not going to be enough.
I mean, anyone who knows me knows that I believe that is the worst room in the game, and that's why those chain chomps cannot be killed, and they do so much damage.
Yeah, I might have had 3 deaths in that room in No Major Glitches run recently. Just saying. Alright, well, a safe passage this time for Stinger, and he is able to get through. Trojan does catch up on the crystal count now. He's got his 5 to go with Stinger's 5, but Stinger is already deep inside Turtle Rock, so Trojan's going to need to follow suit ASAP.
Or go somewhere completely different, but as we discussed, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you know what? I'd be really impressed if Trojan suddenly said, I bet Stinger is going to pod, so I'm not going to.
He's checking Thieves Town chest.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I didn't even remember that existed. Oh, that was really nice awareness by Stinger. He was about to get... oh god, he got lasered. He was about to get bunny beamed before his spin wasn't in a good position, so he switched to the Fire Rod in time to Fire Rod the Pokey before he got bunny beamed. Then unfortunately got lasered, so he's in another pretty dangerous health position, but he's got powders, so he's fine. Oh, he's doing hammer pegs too, Trojan is.
I mean, probably too.
You know, this brings me back to the thing that Stinger told me before this race started, which is I asked if there was any particular way he was going to approach this, and he said, and as I've been talking about, he said, my execution, I feel, is still stronger than his, so I'm going to be comprehensive and hope that that is going to prevent him from being able to catch up.
Trojan
wow.
not checking Thieves Town.
You know that, I mean, I think that's the reasonable play, even if it could have potentially been like a game-turning play. You gotta admit, like, yeah, who's actually gonna go back into Thieves Town for the 2.5 minutes to check that one location?
I mean, like, the extra time going to check that one location that is hammer pegs is almost comparable.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. It is a little curious that he save and quit in particular, because a flute would have been basically, a mirror and flute would have been basically identical or faster. Meanwhile,
you get a full heart refill and you're about to go into one of the most dangerous dungeons in the game, so...
That's true. I mean, you could always step into the old man cave and get a refill either way, but that's neither here nor there. Stinger's checked every location so far in Turtle Rock and found Zip and Squat, both. Managing to survive the Crystal Aurora room here, almost having a real bad time. We managed to make some pretty good play there at the end to kind of hit the switch and get on the blocks at the same time for some iframes, so he will now continue on here.
Probably grabbing this full magic refill because he doesn't have the boots, so he won't be able to do the boots way of doing this laser bridge.
I'm gonna go ahead and give him some crap now because he gives me crap all the time about not being good at the boots-based laser skips. But I know how to do this with walking, and I don't know how confident Stinger is with that. So he is just gonna cape the whole thing. Wow. Oh, what's that? You got hit by a laser, Stinger? Oh, how did that happen?
You have cape. You have all of these like great items you can use.
Alright, well, nothing on Laser Bridge. Unfortunately for Stinger, and also unfortunately for Trojan, because this is just going to mean that Trojan's going to continue on here and not find the thing. Now, an interesting question will be whether both runners actually remember the fact that that chest internal, oh gosh, in Thieves Town exists.
Now I got you doing it.
Dude, we just got turtles on the brain.
I mean, they're both in Turtle Rock, so I guess it's a little bit more reasonable for you to say it than it is for me.
Question from chat as to whether we, the commentators, know the names of any dungeon in this game. The answer is no.
Oh, it's hard no. Hard no. The better question is if Stinger knows... Stinger,
yes.
he does know, but it would be good if he showed that he knows his way around this menu.
Well, it can be pretty challenging to deal with Hammertronics, and Stinger opened up with a Master Sword slash, so he might have been a little bit preoccupied about just in general the state of the race, and might not have been totally thinking about the fact that I'm going into this boss fight with only Master Sword. I have to treat it differently.
Yeah,
it's very, very common to get here with Tempered.
And this is a very, very different boss fight if you plan to do it with Hammer than if you'd plan to do it with your sword.
Yep, but he gets through it successfully, so no harm, no foul, as it were. He does lose one of those blue potions to chugging it during the fight, and he collects the boots. So there's some progression.
Two locations?
Two entire locations. Will he continue with... Yeah, he will go ahead and continue with the aforementioned path that we described. He's going to go get his Spike Cave. He will check Hera. We'll see whether he opts to clear Hera, but I feel like he will, because he'll almost certainly recognize that this seed has been pretty uncommonly lengthy, and Trojan will have had pretty much all the same delays he did. So in his calculation, he's probably still able to be ahead at this point.
Here's the thing. If he planned to do Hera, you do it before the Spike Cave.
Yeah.
So there's a chance, like a non-zero chance, that he is not doing Hera here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see that he would want to go back to it right now, but if those boots look, and Spike Cave doesn't have it, so if those boots locations don't have it, then what's your next play? Do you go to Ice?
I mean, it's certainly faster to get to Ice than it is to get to Hera at this point. And Ice has more locations. Hera only has one.
That's true, although Stinger never even checked the bottom floor, so he doesn't even know that the first item there was useless.
No, Stinger checked the first two items. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Good. I'm glad that he did that.
It's late, Villagen.
It's not that late.
It's like 2:40 in the morning.
I
mean, it might not be late for you and me, but I'm giving you the choice. I'm giving you the chance to blame it on something other than just forgetting to look at Stinger when he was in Hera.
I just didn't want to look at his screen. Anyway, Bonk Rocks, it's bee in a bottle. And King's team was similarly unnecessary. So there you go. There's all your checks done. Now where are you going?
Ice. I mean, it has to be Ice. No, he's... Wait, where? Where are you going, Stinger?
Pyramid Fairy.
Right.
That's a pretty good check right now. And the question then after that, of course, is what's next. But this is a pretty good check. He did just collect the second 5/6 of Turtle Rock, but I mean, I don't know. Quake is equally likely to be literally anywhere except for inside Mire, for the obvious reason. And I guess in Ganon's tower, but I mean, duh.
Well, yeah. This ain't an entrance to Randomizer.
Trojan arriving at Laser Bridge, so he'll be collecting that as Stinger heads up to the Pyramid Ferry. And he'll also deploy the invulnerability items here, but he's going to get less crap than Stinger because he doesn't give me crap about my my laser sticks. So there you go. Good job, Trojan. You get a pat on the back.
I mean, he also did that area better than Stinger did.
He's actually going to take the safety door, so he's thinking, I'm a little bit concerned that I might die on Hammer Try next, so you should make this safe here, and Stinger gets nothing out of Pyramid Ferry. A heart container and 300 bucks.
Yeah, Hammer Trinex, as I'm sure you know, is not free by any means.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never had any problems with Hammer Trinex. Not once. Never. Never.
Every time you say it, I believe you a little bit more.
Well, we're going to Ice Palace, so we can stop talking about this. Perfect.
Indeed.
But let's keep our eye on Trojan on the left, as he's going to be doing his Hammer Trinex fight. Or actually, he has half magic, so he can actually, and is actually, just opting for the sword slashes. It's 8 slashes, or 9, no, 10? I don't know, some number of slashes.
It was 10.
A lot of slashes.
Definitely 10.
Yeah, that's... And so he's going to wrap up both of those heads pretty quickly.
I could just see him going like, I have half magic, I don't care, I will hit you so many times with this fire rod.
And now he busts out the hammer. That's something. Get a few tanks here, but should be good soon. Just one more. There it is. There's Trojan's boots. So, you know, Trojan, like Stinger, has only a couple real options left. But boy, you know, when we talk about comprehensive, Stinger talked about being comprehensive, but man, Trojan is so much more conservative than even Stinger. I feel like that Hera play is real likely.
So I have discussed this before. I am of the belief that this hammer jump is not hammer jump. This bomb jump is not worth doing if you plan to full clear the dungeon and you have the cane. I haven't timed it, but that is my belief.
So that is a bit of generally accepted wisdom. I actually differ from that if you are one item away from go mode. So if you are like, I need to full clear the dungeon because it could be in any chest, but I'm one item away from go mode, I'm going to want to switch back to potentially go mode to finish this dungeon. But in this case, it's a pendant dungeon, so I agree, it is a little bit curious. Trojan, speaking of curious things, mirrored outside Hera as if to go in, and then went to the Spike Cave instead. So this is a really, really interesting play by him. He probably is thinking about those bonked spots, and he's going to go check them.
And he's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, and I mean, from Bonk Rocks, I guess it's conceivable to head over to Village of Outcasts, maybe? And go back in and do that Thieves Town chest? But again, boy, that's such a not good play as far as amount of time investment for one location. And again, that's just not how Trojan plays. He's not going to try to metagame it. So, I mean, we have to hope for him to think that that's the correct play. If we want to see that, I mean. I want to see it.
Yeah, I would love to see Trojan dip into Thieves Town, because I think I would hazard a guess that Stinger is going to be pulling Ped before going into Thieves Town at this point.
You're probably not wrong. Alright, so Trojan walked out of Bonk Rocks, is getting out the flute. Where do you go? Pyramid Fairy, alright. Oh boy, this these late go modes, dude, they are just they're incredibly tense.
Absolutely.
Well, nothing for Stinger so far, and it looks like he dropped down without having bomb jumped across to the iced tea chest, so he'll have to backtrack his way upstairs to get it, unless he already got all 3 items.
He is not.
Nope. Yep. Oh, I saw. Oh, he's going for the boss anyway. Well,
And that
Trojan-
iced tea chest is the reason that the bomb jump doesn't save you time if you plan to get every single item.
That's correct. Unless you know, like, the bomb jumps across from the freeze door room, which not actually that super hard of a bomb jump, but it's not commonly, well, it is somewhat commonly known. I don't know. Doesn't seem like Stinger knew it. Alright, hammer cold stare for Stinger at this point, as he's out of magic, and I think out of potions too. He does have 2 of the pucks down. There goes the 3rd one, so safe fight for him. Very nicely done. Trojan getting nothing out of Pyramid Fairy. Stinger getting nothing from the boss.
I think he was taking the 50-50 that iced tea was a small key.
Well, at this point, it had better be for him, because, oh boy. And Trojan's going back to Death Mountain. I bet Stinger is as well.
Yeah, Stinger's making the probably making the play on Ped, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the only thing that jives with what he just did there, so he's hoping that it's a pedestal seed, and if it is, yeah, he's got a huge lead, having done all of Ice Palace and just needing to finish up Hera. If it's not, then there's a question. Is it in the crappy chest of Thieves Town, or is it in the crappy chest of Ice? There's
That
really
looked like a
only-
block, but it wasn't.
Yeah, he had just barely enough room to squeeze by. But Kemps, there's only 3 items between all of this? 3 non-dungeon items.
No, 3 before Ped, yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Actually, I was counting Hera and Ice items that we don't know about.
Yeah, there's
and then pedestal.
one
then, yeah,
Hera
there's the
item
Thieves
and
Town.
one Ice Palace item and one Thieves Town item, and that's it. Unless one of these 3 items is the book, that opens up 2 more locations.
Oh boy. Yeah,
Or of course the shovel opens up a location, but that doesn't open up as many.
yeah, there are 2 items that you really don't want to see here, I think. The absolute worst. One's book, because you get 1 item and it opens 2 locations, so it's a bad trade. Whereas at least shovel is just a 1-for-1. The other one is Ether, because it is almost what you want, but it is not quite what you want.
Ether is literally useless.
Alright, well, both runners have their big key from the Hera basement. Stinger again deploying some no major glitches strats in that room with the beetles. Trojan checks the next chest in the dungeon is a map. We got access to the big chest right here. It is a compass. Moldorm has the remaining item.
I do wonder if Stinger's going to do a bomb jump here instead of pulling out hook. Nope, never mind.
Oh, whoa.
That was incredibly close.
Stinger having the confidence just going right through there, but now he's heading upstairs. Trojan's already upstairs, so they're on the same boss at the same time. If this has Quake, it is ridiculously close. If it doesn't, it is possibly significantly less close.
I don't know in whose favor it's less close, though. Because Stinger didn't grab that one item in Ice Palace.
Ooh, Trojan gets knocked off and Stinger gets nothing. And that's a good point. It really will potentially depend on those one-off terrible locations. But Stinger can now check the pedestal, so if it's not the pedestal, basically he's just counting on the fact that he has a head start, checking the two worst possible locations for this thing to be. As we all enjoy the boss theme on Moldorm. Trojan wrapping up the fight there, taking a little bit cautiously and unfortunately taking a fall. And Stinger is going to pull the Master Sword pedestal completely blind for the fans and also hoping to win this race. So feel free to deposit some pedestal hype in the chat and let's see what we get.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And Trojandude is dipping into Thieves Town.
Oh my gosh, is Stinger going to do that check? No, he's fluting away.
No, he's doing Thieves Town as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Now, if you're Stinger, it does not matter how much of an execution advantage you think you have, you feel way behind.
And Stinger hasn't done hammer pegs yet, though he'll be able to do item dashing to finish them, which will give him a slight advantage there, but we know that's nothing.
Yeah. He's going to go in there, he's going to find a blue rupee, and then he will be heading in right behind Trojan to Thieves Town. But now, you got to think, this is within striking distance for Trojan, because you got to say, you know, based on the way I've seen these two runners playing, Stinger can do Misery Mire real fast. He can do Gans Tower real fast. But can he catch up to Trojan if Trojan finds the item before him? Chat bring up another great point that if it is in Ice Palace when Trojan goes there, he hasn't cleared the dungeon yet, so he'll have to check a whole bunch of other locations before he gets to Ice Tea. Stinger will not have to do so. He knows exactly where his remaining item in that dungeon is. So Trojan is hoping for this Quake Medallion to be right here in the big chest of Thieves Town. Is it here? It is either here or in Ice Palace. It's here! Oh my goodness, at 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 23 seconds, Trojandude is the first to go mode. StingerPA right behind him, hot on his heels to get the same thing. But oh my goodness, what a race this is going to be now.
So Misery Mire, very quick clear depending on where that big key is. Though it's very, very likely that both of our runners are going to do exactly the same route here.
Yeah. Now, another thing Trojan told me yesterday, because, you know, again, we have talked about that execution difference. Trojan is not a no-manage glitches speedrunner. However, he is very experienced randomizer and has done a lot of different, you know, challenging strats in this game. So I asked him, if you get Master Sword Go mode, are you going to check any additional chests? And he said, only the absolute minimum of ones that are in my way. For example, you know, Waterfall chest in Swamp Palace. But in this case, there is nothing he's going to check in Mire beyond the time when he gets his big key. He's just moving on and finishing the dungeon.
This race just got really close.
Yeah, Trojan saving the entirety of Ice Palace over Stinger, and that was exactly what he needed to be able to get back into this race. Stinger had opened up a pretty significant lead, but now Trojan is right there, ahead of Stinger by a fair bit, but Stinger's going to be hoping to catch up a bunch of time on execution the rest of the way here. Doesn't look like a Godmire necessarily, but there's one more chest here. Could still be. Trojan busting out the cane to avoid taking damage here, and it's a heart container. He's got to go deeper into the dungeon still.
I do like this play. There is a lot of magic drops in this dungeon, and a lot of damage to be had as well, so it does make a lot of sense to pull out the cane there.
Yeah, it's a great use of your resources. I mean, if you have them, use them. Trojan will activate the crystal switch. He'll head back into the main parlor room so that he can check this chest right away, hoping it is the big key.
And it is. Stinger might go all the way to the big key, vanilla big key location before checking that chest, which would be really tragic for him.
I would expect that he won't do that, as we all, Stinger and Trojan and I and a bunch of other people all have kind of the same rando like friend group, and so we're all pretty used to doing similar types of strats. So I absolutely expected him to come back out here and check this chest before heading to the left, and he does. So Stinger heading downstairs, 1:51:48. We'll keep that time in mind. We'll see what time Stinger gets to the same place. After a quick moment there, just that maybe I want to go right instead. And Stinger go ahead and powder an anti-farrier too as well, and then gets promptly bodied by a Wizrobe. That was pretty rude, but he is still on 10.5 hearts, so he should be pretty comfortable for the rest of Mire, especially with silver arrows in hand.
Yep.
That was 1:52:38.
Does Stinger know Mire Rod?
He does, but I don't believe he's set up for it at this point, but we'll find out, I guess. He actually has practiced it to use in his NMG runs. Alright, Trojan on Vitrius. He does get kind of sniffed by an eyeball, but fortunately not enough to suffer any real harm, and he has finished Vitrius. That is a final crystal for him at 1:53:13. And hey, Kemps, what time is it?
It is time for the big key game. There are 22 locations in Ganon's Tower, and one of them has our big key. Which one do you think it's going to be?
Oh man. Well, chatters, you go ahead and get your guesses in. Personally, I'm gonna go with 10. I like the number 10 tonight.
I'm going to go with what I always go with, and that is 17, and that is the third location after Armos, if they do the meta route.
Ooh. Ooh. Alright, well, we'll find out there as Stinger wraps up Vitrius as well. collects his small key and 7th crystal. He will be right behind Trojan heading to Ganon's tower. And now it may well come down to Ganon's tower routing. Kemps, what is your preferred path to take through Ganon's tower? How do you like to approach it?
I think the meta route is the meta route for a reason. The 2 rights followed by full left.
If you get that small key on those 2 right chests, are you going right or are you continuing left anyway?
I continue left anyway. I like the option of being able to do tile room on the way to the finishing the right side, personally.
That's interesting. Personally, I would never actually do that. It just feels like so risky to ever try tile room, even if it's one of the 5 chests remaining. I think that both of these runners will follow the same meta, which is that is the slight variation on the generally accepted route, which is that they will go to the right, and if there's a key there, they continue to the right, check the 4 chests, and then mirror back and go full left.
Yeah.
That is likely what they're going to do, but Stinger has a decent chance of metagaming it here, and Stinger probably does feel behind because of having pulled the pedestal. Trojan, I would say it's pretty likely he will not vary his strats. He will almost definitely go right if he gets that key. Here we go. We're entering Ganon's tower. Just about the 155.30 mark for Trojan. Yep.
Taking my route. Sees that key
wow.
goes directly left side.
Okay, so that's how it's gonna be for Trojan, and Stinger will have an opportunity to differentiate that route if he does what I'm pretty sure he usually does, which is to continue right with that key. So we're gonna find out. Maybe Stinger will just make a fool of me again. I mean, what do I know? I don't know anything about how these guys play, apparently. Well, another chest for Trojan is a small key, another small key, a arrow booster. Gonna start killing the Stalfos in preparation because this is a shovel, not the big key. So he's going to have to clear this room and head on back down, and Stinger is going to the right. So, boy, this is probably going to decide the race right here. Unless it's not.
Absolutely, yeah. Come on, Trojandude. You got this.
This is not the moment to be having issues in this particular room. He does solve those, and he will check the fire bar room now. It is a red rupee. Stinger finding the mirror shield, the book, the arrow booster, and a bomb upgrade. So he has to go to the left. Trojan may have a huge lead heading up the tower.
The only thing that is going to catch StingerPA up at this point is specifically tile room.
Yep, that is correct. It wasn't on the torch, as we have found out earlier, so neither runner is going to get ruined by that. Trojan is rocking a very low health count as he picks up those bombs from the fire bar room chest. So, what are we on right now?
Oh god.
9?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This first one is 10.
Yep, that's what I thought. Heart piece. Arrows.
And
Big
number 12.
key.
Number 12.
And small key. Number 12 in Ganon's tower. Trojandude will head up the tower first, and he will have a potentially gigantic advantage. He's also rocking 3.5 hearts. I'd be shocked if he didn't bust out the flute. Hello? What? Trojan. Powder, that thing. Oh!
There you go. Much better.
Oh Oh my goodness. Stinger having a little bit of problem with this boomerang strat here, but he manages to get it. Nerves definitely catching up to, I would say, both runners right now.
Yeah. This is incredibly close.
And of course, as always, we'll remind you that the runners don't actually know where each other are. They're not allowed to watch each other, so all they can know is, I think I'm either ahead or behind. Oh gosh, Trojan getting absolutely wrecked by the BMOs. There's no way that this doesn't end in a trip to the safety room.
And Stinger, I would hazard a guess, isn't going to be going to the safety room.
Yeah, that would be consistent with his general approach. He's going to ferry, he's going to powder a ferry on the way there, and then he's just like, I'm good, I've got enough. But we'll see. I mean, Trojan, it wouldn't be totally unlike him to do something a little bit risky if he had potions, but he does not, so he will get those ferries. And Kems, we are at the 2-hour mark. We have still not finished this race, and both runners have got to be just absolutely sweating.
Absolutely. And actually, with that, unfortunately, I have other engagements I need to get to. And while I would love to stay for this race, I am going to leave it to you, Villagen.
Thank you very much, Camps. I've had a pleasure joining you tonight, and have a good night, dude.
You too.
All right, guys. We are in the gauntlet right now. We've got just a few minutes left in this race with really anything could happen here because, of course, again, Trojandude's execution has been really solid, but Stinger's has been just a little bit better. He's been able to save time here and there over Trojan, but because of his seed being what it is, and because of things like this, Trojan using bombos here is going to cost him another few seconds while Stinger's catching up. So we're going to see if Trojan is able to hold on to this lead he has. Stinger getting a little bit trolled by these Stelphos here, while Trojan is going to get started on land bolas. And he's going to go ahead and use the fire rod here rather than the silver arrows. And almost gets the one cycle, but instead he's going to have to wait for one more shot here. And there it is. Landmos go down. Stinger getting really, really messed up in this this last Sazlik room here. Good execution of the Cane of Samaria strat by Trojandude here. He just has a few rooms left to go on his way up Ganon's tower. Wow, that block position looked really rough for Trojan, but he manages to get all three of the Wizrobes within and slash the other one. Stinger will be right behind him going into the Wizrobes here. This is incredibly close. It's still absolutely anyone's game, and Trojan starting with lighting the left torch. Oh, wow. He's stopping and waiting for them to go out. Oh, this is huge for Stinger. He has so much time to catch up here. There it is. Okay, Trojan gets the torches lit this time, but he's merely seconds ahead of Stinger, and still both runners on Master Sword. So that Ganon fight is going to be absolutely crucial. No execution flubs are really acceptable here, but they do have half magic in that cape, so there's a good chance that Trojan will be able to make use of those and make that Master Sword first few phases a little bit easier. Oh, Trojan checking these last couple chests and getting red mail. That is a great find. Will Stinger even bother? No, he will not. He will. He goes from the left to the right. So wasting a tiny little bit more time, but then Trojan having a menuing flub every little instant of mistake or error or anything on either runner's part is going to come into play here. We are so close coming to the end. Stinger gets bunny beamed. I cannot even believe how this is going right now. Trojan really needs to not have a repeat of his first Moldorm fight, but he does get knocked down. Stinger now has an opportunity to take the lead. He gets knocked around a little bit, but he manages to recover And he's going to get into position for another spin, and there it is. Moldorm 2 goes down. Trojan, having taken the fall, is going to be behind now. He's going to need a little bit of reciprocation from Stinger. Stinger opening the last chest after Moldorm 2, and it's just the map. So disappointment for him there, as Trojandude is going to come in. We'll see if he offers to check it. He probably will, but there's no sword for him today. Stinger making his way through the most annoying room in the game, and Trojan coming in close behind. And this is it. These are the last two fights. We've got Agatu and we've got Ganon, and that is all that separates these runners from possible victory and advancement to the bracket. Stinger starting off with a triple in convincing fashion, and then a single, unfortunately, with Blue Ball preventing him from having an opportunity for another triple. And then he gets tripped up there as well. So that's a 3-0-0. Trojan only getting, I think, 1 or 2 on that first cycle, but Stinger's still in the fight, which is good for Trojan, but not for long as he wraps up. And now we are going to the Ganon fight in just a few moments. Trojandude just needs to wrap up this fight. And there it is with a well-executed double. Trojan, the master of geometry here, and managing to pull that off, but he is now about 20 seconds behind StingerPA. All right. Stinger starting with a slash on Ganon, possibly forgetting that he's on Master Sword, but now he gets that lineup for the double spin, and here we go. This phase and the next phase are incredibly difficult with only Master Sword, but Ganon is incredibly cooperative, giving them the top right spawn, so Stinger's able to get 4 entire more spins. He needs 12 total to move on to phase 2. Trojan's going to be able to take advantage of that position as well, and he knows what to do. Get to the top. Oh, but he misangles the sword, and I think he still possibly gets 2 spins. Stinger's into phase 2, but he's got half of a heart, and I don't believe he has any potions yet. Trojan still on 12 full hearts, so Stinger needs to be incredibly careful, and this is the worst possible position for Ganon to be in. The hookshot dodge for him, he's gonna bust out. Alright, take a breath as Stinger gets a lovely top right position, but he can't get in there. Trojan busting out the cape as well, and he's running out of magic. And does he have a potion? Yes. Oh my gosh. Stinger takes a death. Trojan potions up. This is now Trojan's race to lose, except that Stinger has a fairy. Oh my goodness, Stinger still making use of that cape. He has to be a lot more careful on his magic. I have totally lost track of how many sword slashes they have done, but Trojan is on to phase 3, and Stinger is still on phase 2. He is caping in there, he is getting more spins, but it is silver finish for Trojan, so he is going to have a very, very straightforward time of this. Stinger allowing fire bats to spawn, teleports allowing him to get in there and get a position for another spin, but Trojan's already 3 hits down. Here we go. Another potion for Trojan. He is on full magic, full hearts, and all he needs to do is he's going to go for this torch glitch, make sure he gets it. All he needs to do is spin the pig, and then silver a whole bunch of times. That is not the spin he wants. Stinger is on this phase 2, and he doesn't quite get the spin to get the silvers in. Trojan has everything he needs to win this right now. Here we go. Silver. Again. Just a few more. He gets the last spin. Oh, he tries to go for the double, but it doesn't work. Stinger is also on this phase. It's so close. Who is going to take this? Trojan doesn't get the double. Another silver for Stinger. Trojan needs to get 1 more arrow in the pig. Who gets it? Trojan gets it. Trojan will be victorious. As Stinger still needs to get his last arrow. Trojandude has upset StingerPA. He will move on to the bracket as Stinger will finish up in just a few moments. Oh my goodness. what an incredible finish. And just absolutely incredible performance by both runners. And Trojandude finishing up with an official Speed Racing TV time of 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 48 seconds. StingerPA just behind, 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 19 seconds. A difference of 31 seconds, but boy, that did not at all really convey how close that was. We'll now be, we're going to see how quickly we can get these two into the voice call. Of course, if they want to discuss this race. All right, Trojan will be joining us. He says that he is shaking, so he needs a moment to calm down from that. I mean, I'm shaking right now, so I can completely understand that. All right, and meanwhile, we are joined by StingerPA. Stinger, welcome in. There's a lot of things I can say. GG on the race, but obviously taking a tough loss here. I just tell us, what your thoughts are.
I mean, when Thievestown Big Chest is your final location outside of GT, yeah, that basically says it all.
Yeah. We are also joined by the victorious runner Trojandude by 31 seconds. GG, congratulations on your victory and advancing to the bracket. I mean, I already read out loud your comment that you're shaking, but go ahead and just tell us in your own words, like, how are you feeling right now?
Man, it was nuts. Like, the hunt for Quake, just as it kept going longer and longer, and it's actually crazy that the choice for me to skip out on Ice Palace to dip back into Thievestown actually won me that race, despite me dying early in Harris, so I had to redip it. Man, that's something I normally would not do, but gosh, that was insane. That seed was just insane.
Yeah, I mean, starting with needing to get the green pendant to get to the hammer.
Yeah. How late did you get that, actually?
It was like, I don't know, 45-ish minutes or something.
Okay,
I mean,
that's about when I got mine, too.
Yeah, you guys were pretty close to one another in terms of getting that. Really, the only differences early were that Hera Death for Trojan, you guys went in the first time, they had like 5 hearts or something, so it was just tile room ate you up a little bit. And otherwise, it was, you were doing different things, but just in eventually getting around to the same stuff, because, the seed was very linear. It definitely was that Quake medallion that sealed it. And Trojan, you might be surprised, or you might not be surprised to learn that Stinger not only did also go to Ice Palace, but pulled the pedestal.
Well, I mean, dude, if you're gonna go to Ice Palace and complete it, I'm guessing, was there an item on Cold Stare? Because that would make a lot more sense.
There was not.
Oh, there wasn't? Okay, well, at
No.
that point, you had two spots remaining. That's totally reasonable.
At the time I finished Ice Palace, I did still have Hera to go to, but it was down to Hera, Hammer Pegs, Pedestal, and the Thievestown Big Chest.
Let me ask you about that,
yeah.
Stinger, because we are curious about this. In Ice Palace, you skipped, if I recall correctly, the Ice Tea chest and went to the boss. Was there an item in there?
I don't believe there was. I took a minute before going into Cold Stare to recount what I had gotten, and I'm pretty sure I got 3 items from Ice Palace before going down to Cold Stare. I actually think I got all 3 on the right side.
Okay, so you're thinking that it was a small key in Ice Tea, because I think that's the only thing it could have been.
Correct.
Phew. Because we were thinking about that, and we were like, my god, does he have to go back into Ice Palace for that? But okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Now, I might have just miscounted an Ice Palace because I've been known to do that.
Stinger miscount never, dude.
Yeah, never.
Well, Trojan will come back to you because, you know, that entire Quake search, obviously kind of the game-deciding play because you were significantly behind, but instead of ever going to Ice Palace, you went to Thieves Town. And I want to ask about that for 2 reasons. One, of course, one chest in Thieves Town versus the entirety of Ice seems, you know, seems like something that Warren's asking about. But then the second one is you actually went to Village of Outcasts once before, and you did hammer pegs, and then you noped out instead of continuing on into that one chest in Thieves Town. What was your thinking on both of those decisions? Like, how did you arrive at the place that you did?
All right, well, I'll start with the hammer pegs one because I did that first. So my thought was, if it's something useful, because I think at that point I knew it was Quake, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna just go into Turtle Rock, but let me quickly check hammer pegs in case it is Quake. Because I knew 100% I was gonna complete Turtle Rock. It was a crystal. There was no reason for me not to do that. Then for the other one, pretty much I came to the point where I think I was in Hera and I was starting to think about like, okay, when did I logically get things? And one of the things that came to mind is like, one thing I didn't think about is that Fire Rod was completely accessible prior to actually like needing to get the hammer. So I was like, wait a second, I could have actually done all that, done one trip into Thieves, and that made me actually sway to go to Thieves Town when I rethought of the logic, because I was like, there's really no reason for this. It's probably going to be in here, and turns out it was.
Wow. I mean, like I can't underscore enough that that was a game-winning play. Like, absolutely, you would not have been in a position to be competitive at all in this race without that. But at the same time, when you got to Ganon's Tower, Stinger was still able to keep up with you. So Trojan entered Ganon's Tower slightly ahead. Stinger, of course, you went right, and then the key turned out to be in Rando Room. But, you know, kind of as you both would have likely expected, Stinger saved some time on execution, and that fall to Moldorm 2, Trojan actually set you behind, and it was actually the Ganon fight where you managed to come back and clinch the victory. It was incredible. I was out of breath just watching it.
You mean me completely miscounting spins in that second phase still won me? That felt really bad. Oh, God. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to definitely watch that back because, man, I thought for sure the way that I executed that Ganon fight, I had to have still been ahead. But, man, that's crazy.
Oh.
All I can say, man, is just GP to Stinger on this seed. Like, that was, man, I will say the first hour of that seed was really awkward to route, but I think I got into my groove, like, after I did the flippers checks. I was like, all right, I can literally do one full world loop and just never save and quit. And that was actually really nice.
Yeah, I didn't save and quit for a long time and doing overworld on that seed.
Man, I mean, there's just so many, like, little moments in that scene that I could talk about with you guys, but I just, you know, like, you guys just both played really, really well in a seed that kind of threw a bunch of things at you as far as, you know, like, there was a time when it was just very linear, and then there was a time when it was open, and then it converged back to linear with a bunch of garbage one-off locations to check for go mode. So I guess I'll go with you, Stinger, real quick. So now you dropped 4 and 3. Actually, probably from among our group, you probably had the highest chance of being one of the 4 and 3 qualifiers, but for all intents and purposes, probably not. So it does look like your tournament's going to come to an end. You know, what did you think about the experience? It's a second randomizer tournament for Link to the Past. What are your thoughts about randomizer going forward for you, and you know, what else are you going to be working on in the future?
I mean, it's kind of a disappointment not to make brackets, but oh well. Go back to that week 1 loss I had where I had a power outage. And I felt okay-ish about that race and up until that point, but that's in the past now. And I guess as far as rando going forward, I will likely skip out if there's a mini race or mini tournament like the Key Sanity one in between the spring and the upcoming fall tournament, assuming there is a fall tournament. I don't see why there wouldn't be, but
I feel like there's a good chance there will be one.
yeah, most likely. But otherwise, in the meantime, I'm going to go get sub 130 in NMG because that's been eluding me for about 5 years now.
I believe in you. I mean, clearly, at many times in this race, you got to demonstrate for all of us your no major glitches skills and just in general your skill at the game. So I'm looking forward to watching those attempts. And for you, Trojan, you're moving on to the bracket, dude. You were in the Key Sanity tournament. That was your first, you know, randomizer tournament action. You went 2 and 3, and then you come into this the standard tournament, and you just romped your way to the bracket, defeating some very, very skilled players along the way, including tonight, StingerPA. You know, how are you going to approach the bracket, and just tell us, you know, how you feel after all this.
Words can't express how proud I am of myself that I was able to improve this much. There was a lot of time I was like, while I was trying to improve at Link to the Past, Rando, I was in the Ori tournament and went pretty deep into it, so I couldn't really put a lot of time into learning new strats. So by the time the Link to the Past randomizer tournament happened, there was almost a bit of overlap, and I kind of had to just learn stuff on the fly. And I felt like, as from watching a bunch of people do their strats and just doing seeds on my own, really pushing myself to don't use safeties, like, you know, really just try and believe in myself, that I really improved a lot over the course of this tournament. And I feel like with my 5-2 record, it showed. And then as far as brackets are concerned, like I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I want to go up against the hardest opponents possible in the first round. I definitely don't shy away from a good competition. I really want to go up against Ben or Christos because they're really good friends of mine. I would really love to go up against them in the brackets. Because man, I've already honestly exceeded my expectation. 4 and 3 was my expectation, and so I just want to just go for it now.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. You did mention the Ori tournament. I do just want to remind people that Trojandude is not just pretty good at Link to the Past randomizer. He also was a semi-finalist in the Ori and the Blind Forest tournament. So just an incredible job by you managing to, you know, not just get good quickly, but also just do it your way, sticking to your gameplay. Yeah, I've been really impressed by that in both tournaments. So congratulations to you. My hat's off to you, dude.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, both of you guys, I'm super proud of both of you for this race. It was so much fun to watch. And the best part is, of course, I greedily know that we're friends, so we'll get to play more randomizer together in the future. But for now, all y'all viewers, unfortunately, will not get to watch any more of these two tonight, as they will be heading to bed most likely. But please make sure to give both of these runners a follow, because they are both incredibly skilled at pretty much everything they do. But also, Link to the Past randomizer, that's probably the thing that you're interested in. And as you heard Stinger mention earlier, there will be some no major glitches on his channel in the future. So give them some love. That'll be good to check out. And as well, I want to make sure to thank D2 Camps for joining me tonight. Unfortunately, we did know in advance he did have to drop off at a specific time tonight, but I was very happy to be joined by him. I always enjoy commentating with him. Thank you to Sigma for tracking for us tonight. I'm just out of words. They're done. I've run out of the words. Let's get out of here as quickly as possible. Thank you to Sigma. Good job. You tracked good. Thank you to the viewers. You watched good. Thank you to Speed Gaming for being awesome. If you want to watch more of the tournament, which there will be much, much more, please make sure to follow twitch.tv/speedgaming and speedgaming 2 through 6 and ALTTP Randomizer and ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 4. But for now, thank you all so very much for watching. Have a good night, and we will see you all very soon.